Hello, I'm Jerry Fort. Gonna do kind of a chat video. So if you're not, if you don't want to listen to me talk about stuff, then just go on, go find another video to watch. I was gonna do this with some different sauces, but the rest of this, I had leftovers of this from something I reviewed yesterday, I think it was. I was gonna do some different hot sauces, but I warmed up a tortilla. I need to keep using them up, and I heated up the rest of my Hawaiian fried rice. So I'm just gonna put some of it in my tortilla. Just gonna shovel it right on in there. Just like that. Okay. I'm gonna use some of my sauce that Gorgum sent me. I think this was, if I remember right, this was a good one in this, with this stuff. This is the Grace hot pepper sauce. Put a little bit of that on there. There. Alright. Well, there goes some out the back end onto my pants and onto the floor. Mm-hmm. Ooh. The hot pepper sauce is good, but ooh, get you. This Hawaiian style fried rice is really good. It's got onions, some red bell peppers, some what's that? See, pineapple tidbits blended with long grain rice, some onions, savory wok sauce, leeks, and red bell peppers. I'm actually trying to upload that video right now. It's giving me a hard time. I don't know why. I get stuck at a certain number and then it just doesn't move anymore. But if I go through the process on my phone, like I'm going to upload another one, like right behind it, it kind of pushes it. It makes it restart and go a little bit further. But it's like you got to keep doing it. You got to kind of watch it, you know. It's kind of a pain. My other one's uploaded pretty nicely. This one here is giving me trouble. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to tell this story. eat this same time. So it happened not yesterday, but the day before. I'm painting in one of these little offices here at work. It's a medium-sized office. And I shouldn't really, but I dip in a 1 gallon, the 1 gallon can that I poured it out of into, a rolling bucket. And I just dip out of the 1 gallon can instead of putting it in a, where's that? Here it is. Instead of putting it in one of these, a little dip bucket, that's what they're kind of called, a cut-in bucket or whatever. So, I don't know if it would have mattered, but I'm standing there with the can in my hand, I'm cutting in, and I feel this, something hit my shoe. I got these tennis shoes that have that, a little bit of a netting for ventilation because, being so hot. Helps you breathe. Your feet. So you can feel things hit your toe. I mean, they're not safety shoes at all, but I looked down and a drip of the paint that I was cutting in with dripped onto my foot. I was like, where'd that come from? Is it running down my brush? How you give me brush, using your brush. You're using your brush and you don't realize it, but you got paint running down here. And sometimes it gets to this corner and then it starts dripping down there. You're using too thin a paint. Usually it's a low quality paint. But I was like, where did that come from? So I started inspecting it, because I shouldn't have got a drip. So I'm looking, and the can I'm using, it's a metal 1 gallon can, paint can. That's what the paint came in. I'm looking at it, and I see another drop go, and I'm looking at the bottom of the can, and it's dripping from the bottom of the can. I was like, what the heck is going on? Why is this can leaking? I got the can off that morning from my shelf. Got it off my shelf. There's no paint on the shelf. I put it onto this cart behind me. That's what I take all my stuff in. There was no paint on the cart. Now, I didn't do it that morning. I did it the day before, but I put it on drop-off and in the room I'm going to be working in. So, but still, there was no evidence that it was leaking when I got it off the shelf. But when I went to, pick it up, then it started dripping. So I took it real quick and I dumped it into the 5 gallon bucket I'm going to be rolling out of, right? So I did that and I put the can into a trash bag so it wouldn't make a mess anywhere else. So I took it outside the room, put it on my cart. So then I'm done using that color. Let's say that color I'm using was the Dorian Gray. That's one of our colors. So now I need to do the accent color. So what we do is we have 3 walls that we do our base color in, and then 1 wall we do a color for whatever the faculty member wants. Usually they'll pick it. So they wanted Moody Blue, which is kind of a greenish, bluish kind of color. Kind of nice color, kind of almost jade looking. But she wanted that. So I'm starting to cut in with a different color paint. Again, using the 1 gallon can that I poured some out of, you know, to to roll the whole ball in. But I like to cut it in first. Top, sides, bottom, roll it in. Okay, so I'm doing that, and pretty soon I'm noticing I got drips on my drop cloth. I'm like, what? Where did that come from? That can was leaking too. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Why? This is too big of a coincidence that one can after the other is leaking. So I did the same thing. I took it and I poured it off into the 5 gallon bucket and put it in a trash bag so I could take it later and see what's going on. I need to clean the bottom of it to see if it's been, you know, punctured by something, if they look the same, if someone's messing with me, someone's being a jerk, I don't know. You know, I got to figure this out. I even asked the librarian, that's the area I'm in, have you seen anybody go into the room? She says, no. She says, I peeked in there this morning just to see your progress. I'm like, oh, I don't mean that kind of stuff. I mean, anybody else, you know, gone in there that you don't think needs to be in there, you know what I mean, or shouldn't be in there. She said, no, I haven't seen anybody. So, yeah, that afternoon, I took the buckets into our washroom, or our slop, where we have a slop sink, and cleaned the bottom of them off and looked at them. Where both cans, where it was dripping from, was a little black dot. It doesn't even look like any kind of puncture spot, you know what I mean? It was kind of dark, like it had been not necessarily corroding or rusting, but just kind of deteriorating in that one little spot. That's what it looked like. But I stirred that paint, and I was asking the carpenter, I said, have you ever had anything like this happen? He said, no. I said, it's really weird. He said, did you look inside the can? I said, no. I just looked at the bottom. I said, I was kind of wondering if, like, if maybe something was going on in the paint inside. I didn't investigate it, but like something inside the can, like a little stalactite of some kind of a metal deterioration type of a, you know, something sticking up. And when I'm stirring it with the stir stick, knocked it off, which maybe triggered a little hole in both of them. But I don't think that was the case. Then we started talking about it a little bit more and thinking that maybe it's happened at the paint store when they put them in these things. If you've ever gotten paint before from a paint store, Kelly Moore, Sherwin-Williams, Spectrum, or whatever, they'll put the cans into a vise type of a shaker, right? And they cramp it down pretty tight. Well, if they have something like a little foreign object laying on the bottom plate of that, and they clamp it down, maybe they're pushing something into the bottom of it just enough to start some problems. And if I got those on the same day, at the same time, I don't remember for sure, but the same kind of label and everything, then it's happened at the same time. It was just really weird, and I had stepped in the drips, didn't know it, went outside the room, off the drop cloth, to my cart, and I didn't know that I was tracking paint on the carpet until after I discovered that it was leaking. So I got my rag, dipped it in some water, got it left it really wet, and just kind of wrung it out onto the paint, and it's cleaned it up, and it cleaned up. But I mean, I didn't have time to mess with all that. But yeah, just, if you don't want to take a chance on that happening, pour it out of the gallon can. Keep those on your drop cloth and pour them into those little red dipping cans, or something else that you know is not going to leak. That was the first time I've been painting since 1997. Never had that happen before. Weird phenomenon. Anyway. I share that with you. Okay. If you're working with the 5-gallon bucket of paint, plastic buckets, be careful how you set them down. Back in, I don't know, it might have been 2010, 2011, somewhere in there, I was working out on my van. It was a Town and Country, Chrysler Town and Country. They didn't, it was an apartment complex. I didn't have no way of transporting my paint from one apartment to the next. And I picked up the paint and set it in the back of my van on the edge of the bottom of the bucket, just a little bit too hard. I thought those buckets were a little bit, more durable than that. But it was a full 5-gallon bucket of paint. So I'm packing up my van to go to another apartment, and I get to my destination, and I go to get the paint out, and I've got a puddle of paint in the bottom of on the floor of my van. I had cracked it on the edge, just enough for it to start bleeding out. I had a big old mess in there. It really surprised me that, I didn't set it down like real hard, just, I guess it was enough though. Yeah. So, those things, they're not perfectly made. They will leak on you if something happens. Okay. I'll end it there. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Depending on when you watch this, or when I upload it too. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you on the next one.